With this node setup, we will create a simple spider web. Connect the UV coordinate system to the material output. Insert a vector math node and set it to subtract. Enter the value 0.5 in the X and Y fields. Insert a gradient texture node and set it to radial. This will correspond to the x-axis of the polar coordinate system. Now connect a vector math node and set it to length. This will correspond to the y-axis of the polar coordinate system. Add a math node and set it to ping pong. Duplicate it and set the new node to divide. Add a value node and connect it to the second socket. This will allow us to set the number of radials in the spider web. Connect the divide node to a new multiply node and connect the value node to the second socket of the multiply node. To ensure the value is rounded to the nearest integer, add a math node and set it to snap with a value of 1. To make the radials consist of parallel lines rather than diverging ones, multiply the obtained value by the y value of the polar coordinates from earlier. Now define the radials with a math node set to less than, which will also give us the option to decide the thickness through the threshold field. For convenience, multiply it by a value of 0.001 and set up a mixed node with values of 1 and 10, which will prevent us from exceeding a predefined range of values. Now proceed with creating the threads. Insert a truncated modulo node following the length node. This will allow us to get the desired number of threads. Continue with the same procedure used for creating the radials. In this case, it will not be necessary to insert the snap node. Now create a subtract node. Enter the value 0.5 in the first field and connect the node from which we created the divisions on the x-axis to the second field. This will serve to shift by a value equal to half a division. Now, using the right nodes, we need to create a parabola. Raise to the power of 2 with the power node and subtract the y-axis values from the result. Also, add another node to subtract a value of 0.2 to adjust the position and obtain a graphically correct result. Connect the result to a compare node, set the value 0 in the first field and a very small value in the second field, which will determine the thickness of the threads. Now make sure the mixed node created earlier can also regulate the thickness of the threads by connecting the multiply node to the second field of the compare node. Add a node to multiply the value by 4 so that we get uniform thickness between the radials and threads. At this point, all that remains is to combine the radials and threads with an add node, and we will have obtained our simple spider web. Thank you for your attention.